Good evening, viewers. This is Faisal Ahmed. Welcome to crickline24.com. Viewers, today I am going to discuss about the UEFA Champions League final that was held just 2 days earlier, where Paris Saint Germain from France was crowned as the champion of Europe, and this was the biggest prize of the UEFA competition. So, guys, let's dive into how PSG became victorious and what actually happened in the final. You know that the scoreline was 5-0 for PSG, and PSG really dominated Inter Milan. They destroyed Inter's defense. They dominated all over the ground. So what actually happened in the final? In the final, we saw that in the 12th minute, PSG took the lead thanks to a special goal from Ashraf Hakimi. And what is special about this goal is that Ashraf Hakimi was a former player of Inter Milan under Antonio Conte. And you know what, Ashraf Hakimi, after scoring the goal, he did not celebrate as a respect for his former club. And then in the 19th minute, through the assist of Ousmane Dembele, a young prodigy of PSG, Desire Doué, scored another goal and increased the lead to 2 goals to nil. And after that, it was total PSG domination all over the world. What we saw that Inter Milan tried to bypass the high pressing from PSG, but could not successfully do that. As you know that PSG were really pressing high, and also in the second half, Desire Doué got his second goal thanks to a very special assist from the Portuguese midfielder Vitinha. And after that, another goal from Kvaratskhelia totally snatched the trophy away from Inter Milan. So what went wrong for Inter Milan? If we say that throughout their journey in this season, Inter Milan has been terrific. They are number 4th in the league format, and in the journey to the final, they beat Bayern Munich, they beat FC Barcelona, and you know how good they played when they faced FC Barcelona in the first leg. The match tied was 3-3, and in the second leg, the match was considered one of the best matches of all time, because Inter Milan took early lead by 2 goals to nil, and then Barcelona made a historic comeback versus scored 3 goals. But in the 93 minutes, Francesco Acerbi, the centre back, scored the equalizer, which took the game into extra time. And in the 99th minute of the extra time, Davide Frattesi scored a screamer and took Inter to the final. But in the final, what we expected as usual, that it would be a really competitive match. Both sides will dominate, but unfortunately we did not see that. We saw a one-sided domination in this match. PSG dominated in all over the department of this match, particularly in the defense, in the midfield, and also in the attacks. If we talk about the midfield domination from PSG, we know that Inter Milan's formation is 5-3-2. Sorry, I'm talking about 3-5-2, where 3 center backs are played and both 2 wing backs and 3 midfielders. Inter midfielders are consisted of Nicolo Barella, Henrik Mkhitaryan, and Hakan Çalhanoğlu. On the other hand, PSG's midfield is considered of Joao Neves, Vitinha, and Fabian Ruiz, and it's an awful that Inter Milan's midfield was totally demolished by PSG's excellent young midfield guns like Vitinha, Fabian Ruiz, and Joao Neves. They dominated over the midfielders of Inter Milan. And also the Inter defenders, I want to talk about that. When you know that if you look at the tactics of Simone Inzaghi, the Inter's manager, he prefers to play back 5 when Inter are defending. You know that the 2 wing backs who usually contributes to the attack, but when Inter defends, they build up a 5-man defense. But PSG totally destroyed Inter Milan's defense, and they scored 5 goals in the final. And you know that there has been nothing seen. There has been never happened this kind of scenario where in the final a team scored 5 goals and a team scored and the team won by this kind of margin. So it's a history for PSG. So if we look at PSG's journey throughout the season, how they went to the final, In the league format, the PSG finished in the 15th position, and what is special about this team is PSG in the league format beat Man City by 4 goals to nil. In that match, City were leading with 2 goals to nil, and suddenly PSG made a strong comeback, and I think which was a great motivation for them to do well in this season. And in the knockout phase, PSG faced three East English teams. First, they faced Aston Villa, where they beat them easily, and then they faced Arsenal in the semi-final. And what went, we all know that in the first leg, through the goal of Ousmane Dembele, PSG clinched a win, and in the second leg, PSG also won, and that's how they got to the final. So, if we talk about PSG, how this team has managed to win a UCL finally. If to find out the answer, we need to go back to 2011 when the Nasser Al Khelaifi took over PSG. He bought PSG. He was elected as the president of PSG. He then turned things over, and he brought so many superstars in this team. Particularly, if I would like to mention David Beckham, Zlatan Ibrahimovic, Edinson Cavani, and Thiago Silva, and many more. But unfortunately, his team could not do well in the European competition. He then bought Neymar from FC Barcelona for a record transfer fee of 222 million, which was a release clause of Neymar at that time. PSG broke that release clause and brought Neymar to their team in the hope that Neymar will bring something. Neymar will help them to win the UCL. But unfortunately, Neymar spent almost 6 years at PSG, and he could not manage to help PSG to win UCL. And also in 2018, when Kylian Mbappe joined them, and for a record-breaking fee of 180 million from Monaco. But still, PSG were lacking something. And in 2011, when Lionel Messi joined them after his contract expired with FC Barcelona, he joined PSG in a free transfer. So PSG formed a front three consisting of Kylian Mbappe, Neymar, and Messi. Yeah, and this front three was considered one of the best in the world. But unfortunately, the first season they lost to Real Madrid, and in the second season they lost to Bayern Munich. And eventually, after that, Lionel Messi left the club, and also Neymar left the club, and there was a drama of regarding Mbappe's contract extension. Mbappe was saying that I'm going to stay here, and he was also expressing interest to join Real Madrid. And you know what? Before joining Real Madrid for that free transfer, Real Madrid offered PSG a transfer transfer amount of 170 million, but PSG rejected that. PSG said that Neymar is an important part of our project. We are building our future with him, so we won't sell him. But unfortunately, what happened, you know, and we all know that the relation between PSG and Mbappe stalled, and Mbappe finally joined Real Madrid on a free transfer. But PSG, after losing their three important players, still managed to win the UCL, and thanks to their manager Luis Enrique. Special mentions should be gone to him, because what he did to this team. You know, in the last year, PSG qualified for the semi-finals, but to Borussia Dortmund, they could not overturn their fate. To Borussia Dortmund, they lost the semi-final, and the last season, Borussia Dortmund also lost to Real Madrid, and Real Madrid won their 15th UCL. And this season, initially when the league format started, PSG were looking shaky. They lost to Arsenal in the league phase. They lost to Bayern Munich, and they lost to even Atletico Madrid, and they even drew with Benfica. So this was a shaky start for PSG in the league format. But when they got the magic comeback against Manchester City, they were really dominating all over the tournament, and they beat Aston Villa. They beat Arsenal in the semi-final, and eventually in the final they beat Inter Milan with a margin of 5 goals to 0. So this can be an example of how a proper footballing team should be built. You don't always run behind superstars. You bring Mbappe, you bring Neymar, you bring Messi, but still they can't help you to win the UCL. So what should you do? You should build a new team with young players who are really hungry to win something, who are really hungry to give their everything for the club, who are hungry to fight for their manager, who are ready to listen to everything of their manager. And this is the perfect example of Luis Campos, the sporting director of PSG, who built this team. And I can predict that this PSG team is going to dominate the European football for next couple of years. So back to Inter's turn. I think for Inter, it was totally a demolition for them, a humiliation that I think they have never thought usually, because when you qualify for the UEFA Champions League final, you never hope to lose by the margin of 5 goals to 0. But unfortunately, their defenders could not manage to prevent PSG's forward from scoring 5 goals. You know that they have veteran defenders like Francesco Acerbi, and also a good defender Alessandro Bastoni, and Francis Benjamin Pavard. But unfortunately, they had wonderful goalkeeper Jan Sommer, who single-handedly prevented Lamine Yamal from scoring the winner in the semi-final. And Jan Sommer is a very good goalkeeper, but unfortunately he could not resist PSG's attacks and conceded 5 goals. And if we discuss from tactical point of view, I think for Inter it was really a moment of demolition, a moment of humiliation, because the way that Simone Inzaghi loves to play for his team, and that is a 3-5-2 formation where the two wingbacks are really important for his team in both attacks and also defense. So when PSG started pressing high, Inter Milan lost their rhythm. They could not build up from the back, and that's why they had to go for a long ball. And you know what, Inter Milan's forward, particularly Lautaro Martinez and Marcus Thuram, these two forwards always won the long ball that was sent from the goalkeeper. But unfortunately, PSG's defense, particularly Marquinhos and William Pacho, predicted these kind of tactics and prevented Marcus Thuram and Lautaro Martinez receiving the long balls, and also won the second balls, so that Inter Milan cannot make a counter attack, cannot threaten them in terms of scoring goals. And for PSG, if I talk about tactics, PSG's main strength is in this match was their fluidity. All the players were moving all around the grounds. You know that the front three, particularly Ousmane Dembele, Desire Doué, and Kvaratskhelia. Kvaratskhelia started on the left wing, and Desire Doué started on the right wing, and Ousmane Dembele played as a central forward. But when the game progressed, you saw that Ousmane Dembele dropped deeper to receive the ball, and he was avoiding marking from Inter defense. And it was really tough for Inter Milan to predict which player they should mark on which position, because all the PSG players were interchanging their position. They were really rotating their position. They were really rotating their playing style. So this kind of scenario really made the game hard for Inter Milan. So basically, this was a tactical perspective of how Inter Milan was demolished, was humiliated by PSG. And for Luis Enrique, if I say that he is the second manager after Pep Guardiola, who won the treble with two different clubs. You know that Pep Guardiola won the treble in 2009 with FC Barcelona, and in 2023 with Manchester City. And for Luis Enrique, he won the first treble with FC Barcelona in 2015, and now he wants the treble with PSG in 2025 after almost 10 years. So it's a really emotional story for Luis Enrique, because few years ago he lost his daughter, who sadly passed away, and he was very much disappointed. He left football for almost 1 year. He then came back. He left Barcelona, and after that he was the manager of Spain national team. But when his daughter died, he left the role of Spain national head coach. And after 1 year, he made a comeback. He took Spain to the semi-final of the Euro 2020, and and in the 2022 World Cup, unfortunately, Spain was eliminated by Morocco in the penalty shootout, and then he left the job of the head coach of Spain. And in 2023, he was appointed as the head coach of PSG, and now you look how well he managed the team and how he changed the total scenario of the club and how he fulfilled the expectation of the fans. And yeah, so special credit goes to him, and also he deserves applause from all over the world, footballing world. Everyone is recognizing his contribution, and he also said that my daughter is watching me from the heaven, and she is always with us. She is watching us. So it was a great moment for him. So this was the initial talking about how PSG won the Champions League, how they dominated, how they won the Champions League, how they built a new team that is full of young prodigy, that is full of young energy, that is full of hunger for success, that is full of hunger for trophies, that is full of hunger for giving everything. So this was the discussion about PSG, and now if we move on to another competition, and that is UEFA Nations League. You know that UEFA Nations League Final Four, two semifinals are remaining. First semifinal is Germany versus Portugal, which is gonna held tomorrow, and the second semifinal is Spain versus France. Two high voltage matches. Four top teams from Europe are competing each other for the Nations League trophy. In the Nations League, we know that the first edition of Nations League, which was won by Portugal in 2019, and the second edition, Spain won it in 2023, beating Croatia in the penalty shootout in the final. And now it is the third edition of UEFA Nations League, and the final this time is gonna be held in Munich, Germany. So tomorrow is the first semi-final between Germany and Portugal. So if we dive deep analysis of this match, in terms of Germany, several first 11 players, several first team players are missing this semi-final because of injury. Antonio Rudiger, center back, and also Nico Schlotterbeck, they are out for a couple of months, and also young guns and one of the best young players in the world, Jamal Musiala, he is also missing this tournament, and also many players who are missing in this tournament. So it's a big blow for Germany, and I think Germany will have to suffer for this. And on the other hand, for Portugal, they are getting almost all the players they have, because I don't think they have any kind of injury issues, and their coach Roberto Martinez can rely on all their players. And you know how good, how qualityful the Portugal squad is. And on the other hand, for Julian Nagelsmann, the head coach of Germany, he needs to find out something special to beat Portugal, as he is gonna miss some of his several key players. And for Spain and France, what we can say that France this time, and last time when they faced each other in the UEFA Euro 2024 semi-final, France were beaten by Spain by 2-1, and a wonderful goal was scored by Lamine Yamal, and another goal was scored by Dani Olmo. France scored one goal, and that was from Randal Kolo Muani. But unfortunately, France could not beat Spain, and Spain eventually ended up winning the UEFA Euro by beating England 2-1 in Olympia Stadium, Berlin, and lifting the trophy. So this time, I think for France, it's a time for revenge. If you see their attacks, they have Kylian Mbappe, they have Ousmane Dembele, they have Desiree Doué, they have Brian Cherki, they have Michael Olise, they have Marcus Thuram, they have Kolo Muani, and also in the midfield, they have Adrian Rabiot, they have Warren Zaire-Emery, they have Edward Camavinga, they have Chouameni, and also defend. They have William Saliba, and they have many players, and also their goalkeeper Mike Mignon, who plays for AC Milan. So it's a strong side for France, and I think France can, if France can capitalize their attack, I think it will be helpful for them to beat Spain. And for Spain, Luis de la Fuente, when he took over the throne from Luis Enrique, and when he was appointed as the head coach of Spain national team, he totally changed the approach. He totally changed the playing style of Spain. He first won the Nations League in 2023, and after that, his team dominantly won the Euro 2024, except that controversial Germany versus Spain match, where Germany should have been awarded a penalty for a handball of Marco Correa, but unfortunately, referee Anthony Taylor did not give Germany a penalty. And in the 118th minute, Mikel Merino header won the match for Spain, and it was a heartbreak for Germany, as Germany was the host nation in UEFA Euro 2024, and their legendary player Toni Kroos made a comeback from retirement, and unfortunately he could not won the tournament for his country. And in the semi-final they beat France, and in the final they beat England. So the battle between two masterminds, Luis de la Fuente one side and Didier Deschamps on the other side. Talk about Didier Deschamps, how good he is. He took France in 2014 World Cup quarter final, in 2000 Euro final, which was they were the host, but unfortunately they lost to Portugal by 1-0, and that was the goal from error in the extra time. And Ronaldo won his first major trophy with his country. And in 2018 World Cup, France eventually was crowned as the world champion, and at that tournament Kylian Mbappe was the best young player. So and even in 2022 World Cup, France were so close to winning their two consecutive World Cups, but a brilliant dream of Argentina and a brilliant cameo from Emiliano Martinez prevented them from winning the World Cup consecutively, and also it could have been their third World Cup. But talk about Didier Deschamps, he is a mastermind. He renewed his contract with France until 2026. So it's going to be a real battle between Luis de la Fuente and Luis Enrique and Luis de la Fuente. So the Nations League Final Four will be an entertaining event for us, and we are eagerly waiting for 10th of June when the final will be held in Munich, and any one of these four teams have to clinch the title. So viewers, that's all from today. We discussed about how PSG won the Champions League, how the PSG coach Luis Enrique changed the approach of their team, and also about Nations League. So stay with us. We will be back with a lot of more footballing actions. Till then, it's goodbye and thank you.